Joining me today, and a lot is going on since before we came on the air. If you have not heard, Cam Newton has been released by the New England Patriots, and that means they're going with Mac Jones as their starting quarterback. Mac Jones will be the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. Cam Newton has been outright released, and we want to talk about where Cam will end up, may end up, might end up, should end up, all of the above. 281-453-1000 if you want to get in. 281-453-1000 if you want to get in. Also, you can text 832-403-5005. That's 832-403-5005. The Dallas Cowboys are in need of a backup quarterback. They are going with Cooper Rush as their backup and have released Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci. Martha, did you check the Googles? Where's Ben DiNucci going? Yeah, because he's been released by the Dallas Cowboys, and the question is, will they bring him back and make him the practice team quarterback, or will they bring back Garrett Gilbert? So those are the questions to be determined as of this date. But again, the big news is Cam Newton out in New England as their quarterback. Went from being the starter last year, the proverbial starter this year, to out altogether. And I know a lot of people have had a lot to say about that. There are several big names that have been released and names that are familiar in this region. Remember Benardrick McKinney? He has been let go. Benardrick McKinney let go by the Miami Dolphins. Also, a young man by the name of Lamar Miller. Remember him? Used to be the starting running back for the Houston Texans. He has been let go as well. Taco Charlton just can't stick. No pun intended. Taco Charlton, a top-round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys a couple of years ago, and he has been let go as well. So other names out there that have been let go. But if you are following some of the moves and the deals, you know the biggest name is Cam Newton. And the question, will Cam Newton get picked up? If so, when and where? I was talking with Willie Gibson, broadcast journalist from Columbus, Ohio. He brought up a very good point. Cam Newton most likely will not be picked up by the beginning of the season because teams don't want to pay that salary to get him started. So if they don't want to pay the salary, then guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to pick him up, not to start the season. So we will keep you posted. I think there are several teams that need a Cam Newton. One of them is led by his former head coach. Now, will Ron Rivera swallow some pride, realize that there were plenty of things that he got wrong in his relationship with Cam? There are things that Cam got wrong in his relationship with Ron Rivera, and the two of them try it again. I don't think it would be effective for this season. Cam Newton can't come in today, learn the Washington playbook tomorrow, and start in the game in 2 weeks. But I will say this, Ryan Fitzpatrick has not blown anyone away with his play in Washington, and that's practice and preseason. To the point where Ron Rivera has yet to name him as the starting quarterback for the team. That is a possible spot for Cam Newton. Another spot is a spot that I've been talking about for a while. I know Cam Newton wants to be a starter, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are in need of a quality backup quarterback. And if you call me and tell me that Mason Rudolph is their quality backup, I'm going to tell you, in the words of the late, great Skipper Lee Frazier, get off my telephone. Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton, Dwayne Haskins. And somewhere you got to slide my man Josh Dobbs and put him on the practice squad. But everybody else, get them out of there. Get him out of there. Devlin Hodges was also released by one of the teams on the West Coast. I forget which one it is. Another team out there on the West Coast that could use Cam Newton, the Las Vegas Raiders. the Las Vegas Raiders could benefit from Cam Newton. Again, I don't want to hear Marcus Mariota is the backup. Stop it. Derek Carr, Cam Newton, Marcus Mariota, whoever you got backed up in there somewhere, thank you for coming. Get on the practice squad or we'll holler at you. Use us as a reference. So there are 3 opportunities right there. I'm not even going to mention that the New York Jets don't have anyone in their quarterback room other than Josh Johnson over the age of 30. If for no other reason than for good adult common sense, you consider bringing Cam Newton into that room and let some grown-ups talk. Let me take a break. We'll be right back. Special guest should be joining us any minute right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It's Talk Your Team Tuesday. Get at me.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-219-8332. 800-219-8332. 800-219-8332.
Yeah, I think something weird on the laptop. It might be asking you to download the app or something. I apologize. I forgot about that.
Remember in the beginning, when you first started to build a life for you and your family, you never imagined it would come to this. Instead of living your dreams, you're living with debt. In fact, it's smothering you. Now there's a way you can take back control with one simple call. If you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you qualify to receive a free, no-obligation consultation on how to get rid of that debt for good. Call the Debt Helpline now. We work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. One simple call is all it takes to get the ball rolling to a debt-free life. Stop living with debt and start living your dreams. Call the Debt Helpline now.
800-958-2156. 800-958-2156. 800-958-2156.
Oh, that's some random dude?
That's 800-958-2156.
Oh, no. Yeah, look, boy, go sit down.
Tune in to Table Talk with your boy, TD Black.
Yeah, I don't know.
From 10 to 11
the other one under your arm, go sit down somewhere.
KYOK, 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. See you there.
Okay.
In need of tires? Check out OMG Tire Services and more. New and used tires, all the name brands you desire, located at 3126 Tidwell between 59 North and Jensen. Give them a call at 832-767-3211. Top-notch service from beginning to end. When you're done, get your car hand washed inside and out at OMG Tire Services.
She's coming on any minute. She's working on it.
Located at 3126 Tidwell between 59 North and Jensen. Call 832-767-3211. That's 832-767-3211. Conveniently located on the north side.
My program director is trying to take your spot.
The legendary KYOK 1140
Talk about Cam quarterbacks. Okay, there you are. I see it. All right, I'm hanging up on this.
Hi, I'm Larry Scott, host of the Not So Christian and Me show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding our world today. We are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation and a no judgment zone. So join us Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m.
Hey.
I got you loud and clear.
The legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM at KYOKradio.org.
Hey, what's up? This is your boy James Fortune, and you are listening to The Lunch Break. Keep it locked.
All right, man, listen, I need to be stepping in my Air Force Ones because I got one of the best of the best of the best. Listen, I saw her on Saturday and I almost dropped down on my knee, tried to apologize to her because when I tell you I messed up so bad, I did one of them dude moves where you like, bro, what were you thinking? But anyway, she gave me some grace. She told me I still owed her, and she decided to come on the show anyway. All the way from Atlanta, it is none other than Don Montgomery. Don, how you doing, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I am great. Don, first of all, it was a pleasure meeting you in person. I got a chance to hear you when you were on with David Grubb and Hard in the Paint. I have been a fan of your work. I love what you're doing, and you have an amazing story.
Do I?
Don, you did not start out in this thing called broadcast journalism, especially on the sports side.
No.
Tell us about how you got started.
So basically I've had about 4 different career changes. I would say more so changes or pivots because I was successful in each career path that I've chosen. But there was still something that I needed to kind of fulfill whatever purpose I felt like I needed to serve. And I've always had my foot in sports industry. And luckily around this time, I think I was newly married. At the time, I think our son at the time had just started school. So I had this time where I was free to do whatever I wanted to do at the time. And I had just graduated with my bachelor's degree from Oglethorpe University, and I was supposed to go to law school, and I decided not to go to law school at Emory University because number one, I had just graduated, and I graduated in that same year. We got married earlier in the year, so we got married, opened up a business together. I graduated from college, and then I had the baby the next month. So it was just like going to Emory in the fall of 2011 was not about to happen. But about 2 years later, with me having that free time with my son now starting daycare and things like that, it was around the time of football season. So football season has started, and every year I have this thing where I decide which games I'm going to go to. So I have like my own personal college football or pro football schedule.
Okay.
And at the time, I think around that time, it was really, really hot for college game day to really be in different places and Twitter really pick it up from a standpoint of like actually live tweeting. So this was a thing that I was doing before it was really an actual thing.
Right.
Generally, I'd wake up first thing in the morning. I'm watching college game day, and then maybe by noonish, I'm getting on the road to probably travel to a game, or I'm going to a game locally here in Atlanta. And so, I did this that entire season. Well, before the season even ended, I started getting calls from different alumni groups around the city of Atlanta because Atlanta is really a hub of like every college alumni group that you can think of around America.
Right.
And around the world, if you want to be honest, where people kind of link up, and this is their time to kind of do something outside of work during the fall and winter. So at that time, I think one of the first alumni groups that contacted me was University of Michigan alumni group here. And it's funny because I'm an actual, like, they know that I'm an Ohio State fan, and they actually love the fact that I was an Ohio State fan coming in to like kind of host a watch party with them. So I started doing those towards the end of the season. So now we're going into bowl season, where I decide which bowl games I want to go to. And mind you, I'm doing all of this without even being in the industry quite yet. And at the time I was like, you know what, I should be blogging about these experiences and like just coming from as a fan. And it started off as a blog. After I did all of that and was making money from like hosting watch parties or actually just attending them. Some people just wanted me to just show up and just tweet about it. So it was like, okay, you're gonna give me and my family some wings and things or whatever, and we're gonna okay, cool, bet. Yeah. And I get a check, so great. So I'm like, okay. Then something goes off within the next season because I'm like, okay, I can really do this again because I can tell them like I brought this many people to your watch party, right, or this people saw my impressions on Twitter or Facebook, and Instagram really wasn't a hot thing at the time, but I utilized, social media to really kind of build a following around that. And what that did was it ended up pushing me into the sports industry. So once I got into the sports industry, it was like, oh, wow, like there's nobody really doing what I'm doing at this time. And I could really open up the doors for more people that look like us to come in, because a lot of the things that I started seeing as I had my blogs, I was still trying to reach out to various like sports media outlets and things like that to try to work with them. And most of them were like, well, no, you don't have any experience. Or if they knew about my blog at the time, they were like, well, you're a fan. We don't really want to hire an actual fan. And I was just like, like I actually have a journalism and communications background and all of that. And I was doing some things on the side in different industries. But when it came down to sports, like they were really like, no, we don't want you. We don't want you in here. Like, and a lot of the pushback that I received early on was more so because my last career that I had before I got into sports media was I was a professional model, and not just a video model, not a TNA model, what have you. It was literally, I did hair campaigns. I was on billboards. I had commercials. I was in videos, but very cool, all of those things. But I had this 14, 15 year career in modeling, and most people were like, well, you're a model. Why do you want to work with athletes and things like that? But a lot of people did not know that I built relationships with local student athletes between Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And a lot of these athletes are in the pros now. So it was one of where one way or another, I was going to get in here. It was either going to be the agent route. Because I was going to law school, and maybe me going to law school, it would have, okay, I can be an agent now. Or it was going to be exactly what I'm doing now, which is sports media and just in every creative facet that I can do it in. So that's kind of how I got it.
Don Montgomery joining us here on the lunch break for Talk Your Team Tuesday. And I love that story because you hear all the time in relationships, in business, in friendships, what do you bring to the table?
Yes.
Excuse me, bruh, sister, Mr. Man, Mr. Woman. I bring my own table. How about that?
Yes.
That? I don't have to put my tray on your table. I got my own. And I love that not only did you do that, but you do it in such a way that folks are like, dang, I didn't think about that. You have carved out a niche in an industry that's so big. It's almost like everybody's doing everything, but everybody's doing the same thing. And you've carved out a niche in that.
Yes. And luckily, in me doing that and actually just being myself, it was one of those things where a lot of us were able to be comfortable and create our own lanes and saying, okay, I don't have to compromise. I don't have to work with a big network. I don't have to intern for free all these years before I really see a payout. It was more so like, okay, I'm creating this lane. I remember how many no's I received. And I kind of want to say it might've been right around 56 no's.
Wow.
So think about how many companies I reached out to write, how many companies I reached out to even be an on-site reporter or sideline reporter just to learn, how many companies I reached out to intern. And at the time, remember now, I'm married, got a kid, got children in a blended family unit, and I'm out here really hustling like I'm starting life all over again at the time.
Right.
And so eventually, after receiving all of those no's, I was just like, you know what? No, it's time for me to build like a team, a unit that can move with me. And so what I did was I just reached out to people. I put it on like, it was like just a free for all tweet. Like, if you want to write and you want to do something in sports, contact me, because I had all of these relationships that I was like, okay, I've got relationships with all of these Big Ten schools, ACC schools, SEC, Sun Belt. One of the first colleges that let us in the door was Georgia State, and Georgia State's football program. They let me chronicle like the beginning of it. Like literally, I was at the table. I was able to see how they came up with creating the football program, starting that and getting it going. So when the first season came, we were one of the first like Black media outlets that was credentialed to cover it. And it was literally me having to put that on my back and say, okay, I'm going to do this every Saturday. I'm going to be there for them. I'm actually going to travel to some of their games, and I'm going to prove that when you give us an opportunity, this is what it looks like when we seize it. And what that did is it got the eyes of like other universities locally, and then other conferences. They were like, okay, we could work with you, because even a UAB opened up their doors. Southern Miss, where I'm from, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, they opened up their doors. And in that relationship, though, let's talk about that real quick. in that relationship, what I noticed was not only did they do that just because I'm from Hattiesburg and I kind of pitched it in a way where it's like, let me come home and do what I'm doing, but it was more so like, let me come and then let me bring in another person or another media outlet that can possibly benefit from this relationship as well. And that was HBCU game day. I was able to go in and cover, I want to say, one of the first games we were able to partner on, because I had did maybe 2 of the first games that they usually do, which is where they'll bring in an HBCU within the state who will come in and play them, right?
Right.
And I do believe at one point in time they played Southern, and I was able to just say, let me get someone from HBCU game day in here, because again, from my outlet was considered mainstream and it wasn't really focused in on HBCUs. And I was like, okay, well, I know somebody that's doing that. So I reached out to Stephen Gaither over at HBCU game day and I said, hey, send me somebody, or you come yourself, like figure it out, or I'll write for you guys. And I remember the first time it was literally kind of set up like that, where I kind of wrote one story for my outlet and then I wrote something different for theirs.
I love it.
They got their photos that they wanted. And it was a go from there. But even in doing something like that, it gave me the opportunity to just show people, when you do get in, you got to figure out how to collaborate.
You got to make it do it. Yeah. We've got Dawn Montgomery. She's joining us here on the lunch break. Broadcast journalist. She is a brand CEO. She is a former model. She's an amazing mom, and she's just awesome. And I should have warned you about the lunch break. We're a little raw. We're a little rough. We're black owned, black operated station. Been here since the '60s, so we don't hold back on certain things. As you were talking, I heard something in my spirit.
Okay.
This is what the Rachel Nichols of the world don't understand. They don't understand a mom trying to figure out how to raise her newborn, try to build her marriage, try to, keep her family unit together, and starting a sports kind of, broadcast journalism business. They don't see that hustle. They don't see that side of it. All they hear are words like affirmative action and think you just got thrown in there because you got natural hair and pretty cheekbones. Right. That is so far from the truth. And you just proved that right here in 4 minutes or less. What do you think about when you see situations like what happened with Rachel and Maria?
I was glad that it came to light, and I hated that it had to be her, but she kind of chose that herself. Those were her words. That's what she had to say. And that's really generally most white women see us in various spaces and industries. The biggest thing is that what it should teach her isn't to be upset that she has lost her job, that they no longer wanted to work with her at ESPN, is that when you step in the way of someone really advancing for not just themselves, but for other people, Maria moving up and moving into that would have opened up so many more doors within ESPN for them to kind of change the narrative of what's been happening over there, because we've been seeing a huge turnover rate over there. Okay.
Right.
And she could have been satisfied or okay with the fact that, okay, I'll just give up this one thing, because she had other things. Like, that's the thing that I didn't understand, that other people just didn't get. She was harping on this one thing that this Black woman was about to get over on her. And it was, let me go off on the institution as a whole, ESPN. So for someone like me, we know people smile in our faces. We know people, will embrace us or deal with us until they don't have to really be bothered with us. But at the end of the day, we are so talented. We are so gifted. When you allow it in these spaces, we will flourish and we will expand whatever it is that you're trying to build and do. And I just think that, I really hated that ESPN couldn't work out a better relationship with Maria after that situation to kind of rectify and show that they were going in a different direction. But I'm so glad she chose whatever she needed to do for her piece in moving on and going on in the direction that she's going now. And I'm just very thankful that it played out like that in public, just because imagine how many times it has played out like that behind the scenes, behind the
Correct.
And people didn't know. And I know for me, it's one of those things where it's like, Maria then realizes, she's really got a whole lot of people that are supporting her,
Yeah.
whole people that are really behind her and genuinely wanting her to kind of show them how to make that change, make that pivot, move over. Because people get very stagnant, they get very comfortable. And I feel like Rachel Nichols got very comfortable in knowing that she was token, diversity and inclusion, but you excluded someone who should have been at the table and should have been able to be able to move into what you were doing, because it made sense, whether they were choosing to do it because of the racial injustice that we've been dealing with out with companies and in public. But for me, she should have known better. She should have known better.
Yeah, definitely. So again, we've got Don Montgomery joining us, really blessing us with some good stuff. I hate to do it. I got to take a quick break. When we come back, I need to find out about that Mississippi connection. Need to find out a little bit more about the SIP. When we come back, Don Montgomery. Hey, if you want to get in, 281-453-1000, 281-453-1000, or you can text me, 832-403-5005, or hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube and Twitter, on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. It's Talk Your Team Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Do you have a home that you don't want anymore? We can buy it from you within 24 hours. Any home, size, or condition. For over 20 years, we've been buying homes for cash and helping homeowners sell their homes immediately with no listings or strangers walking through your home. Are you moving? Did you lose your job? Going through a divorce? Whatever the reason, if you're in a bind and you know that you need to sell your house fast,
got a
call
question
the
for you when
expert
we come
team
back.
at I Need to Sell My House Fast. We'll make you a serious cash offer to buy your home in 24 hours and let you walk away from it. No listing, no waiting. Sell any home, any size, any condition now. Call the expert team at I Need to Sell My House Fast. Make this free call now.
800-306-1760. 800-306-1760. 800-306-1760. That's 800-306-1760. If your loved one has passed away due to COVID-19, pay close attention to this message. You could be entitled to a death benefit of over $300,000. The U.S. government has set up a fund to pay families relief if they've lost a loved one due to COVID-19. We know this is
Jasmine says she's 23,
and this fund has been set up
and she's got a real good question. She's 23,
compensation includes
single mother, and
lost
she's
wages
trying to do some
Time
things.
is limited, so we urge you to make a free phone call right now. There's no cost to you for this claim. All legal fees are only covered once you receive your money. So if you've lost a loved one due to COVID-19, call the legal helpline right now to find out if you qualify for a cash award. Here's our number: 800-876-7047. 800-876-7047. 800-876-7047. That's 800-876-7047. Paid for by the IPG Law Group.
Hey, what's going on? This is Lecrae, and right now you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM, streaming live on KYOKradio.org, on Facebook, on Twitter, at Lunch Break KYOK, and on YouTube, The Lunch Break with AJ Jones. I've got a very special guest joining me today, one of my new favorites. It is Don Montgomery, broadcast journalist, sports broadcast journalist, former model, mom, entrepreneur, and a whole bunch of other stuff I know she hadn't told us. So she's joining us here on the show. Don, again, thank you for making time for us. And we've got a question from a young lady that just texted in. She said, my name is Jazz, and oh my God, I needed this today. She said, I'm sitting on a job that I'm only on because my mom and my family said that they will not take care of my children if I don't have a job. But I have a desire to do something else, and all I hear is negativity, negativity, negativity. Miss Dawn, how did you deal with the negativity?
Oh, I feel that. I feel that.
I told you that one had a whole lot in it right there. Like literally being manipulated and controlled by her family.
Use that negativity as motivation. And I say that not from a standpoint of what most people say, oh, everybody's hating on me, nobody's supporting me, I'm out here doing this on my own. It's more so like use it as motivation to figure out what's going to make you happy. Because number one, you're a single mom, and I know what it takes. I'm divorced as of 3 years. I'm just now getting back into really the swing of things. It's been 3 years since I actually covered my last college football game. So when you saw me, AJ, this weekend, that was my first time back.
Wow.
Right. So for me, it's one of those things where you figure out right now how much you're spending, how much you need to pay bills, how much, what's going in, what's coming out, right? Start looking at the financial part of things and try to get in control of that. Create a pocket where you can have savings so that when you do decide to kind of pursue something that you're passionate about outside of your job, you have the money to fall back on. I say that because it took a lot of money for me to invest into doing what I was doing with my sports media company. I had worked 2 jobs so that I could make sure I could have a decent payroll for all of my writers. I didn't ask anybody to do anything for free besides the basic time frame of 30 to 60 days where they had to prove that they could actually write and keep up and be consistent.
Mhm.
So to me, it's one of those things where you figure out what makes you happy outside of the job that create stability and security, because that's really all their negativity is generally about. They
Right.
want to doing something, and for most people, them seeing you going to a job from about 9 to 5 every single day shows that you're actively doing something. But more so for those of us in the creative space, we have to prove in the work. Like the proof is in the work. It's in the things that we're doing, and as well as this is where I can make money over here, this is where I can make money over there, this is what I have to do. And you have to look at it from a freelancer standpoint. You cannot tell me that there's a freelancer out now, probably someone who just started, but not in general, a seasoned freelancer right now that writes, reports, hosts, or anything else that sits and waits on a job to come to them. They have
Right.
to go for that.
Yeah.
So that negativity to kind of decide, what is it that makes me happy? How much money is all of this going to take for me to be comfortable enough to really pursue the things that I want to do outside of this? How much of that is going to actually be, I'm going to have to pay out of pocket for, so that I have to realize that I may not be able to rely on my family to babysit my kids. Is there somebody else that can babysit my children? We're in the middle of we're still in a pandemic. So you're going to have to find someone outside of your family that you feel comfortable with. Or are you going to be in a space where you can say, I need to bring my children with me, while I try to pursue this for a little bit, or figuring that out. Just start having those conversations with yourself. I know that came through in a text message, but I would like for you to give her my email so that
Okay.
I can with her and kind of track what she's doing, because it's going to start off hard and it's going to be very rough, but you have to stay encouraged, because that you're not fulfilled right now. And because you're not fulfilled, you can't give your best to your children. At the end of the day, it's really about you making sure that you're happy and doing what you're doing. My kids, for instance, and I'll let this be, Saturday was my first time getting back into the fold of things, right? And my sitter was not available 30 minutes before I had to be on college game day set to cover college game day. I literally broke down in my car. I cried, and I had to put my kids in my car and get them ready, go back in the house, because they weren't ready for that. They were ready to be dropped off somewhere. And so, you can just put senior kids in their PJs and they'll be all right with their snacks and stuff and they're good, right?
Right.
No, I got to go back in the house, put them on some clothes, do my daughter's hair, and get back in the car and inform the person that was my point of contact that I was running behind. But I had to explain, I had a situation that I couldn't control. And most people don't understand that, but she was very understanding, very accommodating, and made sure that when I arrived, I didn't have to worry about anything while I was there. Luckily, I also had points of contacts in various areas around the college game day set. And I say that because I knew the bus driver of the college game day bus, and he assisted me in making sure that my kids had water and snacks during the time that I was working. I had someone that was in the Alcorn tent that recognized me and knew that most of my family actually attended Alcorn State's campus and university. So they made sure my children had food. Then there was a moment where, you know, the Migos came out for a concert. My son is excited, so they're preoccupied while I'm conducting an interview with someone from Aflac and as well as Coca-Cola. So I'm saying this all because I had to adapt on site and I had to show up fully as myself. And the only reason why I was able to do that was because of the negativity I've always heard. Is because of the motivation that I have in what I know, why I'm doing what I'm doing in sports media. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm really trying to show women that you don't have to compromise at all. You just don't. If you want to do something, you can do it. If you see something for yourself that you want to go after it. But make sure that it's the thing that you're willing to not talk to family for months. It's the thing that you'll be okay with not hearing your family support you or even see them show up for you. You have to realize you have to go this thing by yourself sometimes, because guess what? You're not by yourself. God is always there. Let's leave that there. But he's not here in the physical to where we need someone to talk to. We need someone to vent to. We need someone to speak to. And in general, for me, I'm quick to be like, I don't need nobody to support me. And I say that because my support comes from God. I've gone through a whole lot my entire life, especially the past 3 years that I'm even here to be on this show to talk about in general my life. And so for me, I'm just like, okay, I'll keep it going. I'll work through it. I was gonna show up on set at college game day with tears in my eyes, a full like flushed face, swollen face, because I was upset that something just didn't go right. And I just pushed through, and you have to really push through. Pray until something happens.
Don, you got me over here about to cry myself, man. You just have no idea. That is such a powerful testimony and advice to this young lady. I don't know her, but I do know that what she heard has blessed her. We got a longtime listener who said, "Preach, sis, bro. Come on, sis. Teach today. This is real Black life. Come on, Black Queen." I mean, CJ said that is a village.
Yes.
Talk about your life in Mississippi. How's a little girl from some little town in Mississippi end up where she is today? Obviously, we see the foundation of what was laid to get you there, but talk about that transition.
So I was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where Southern Miss is, basically Brett Favre country. But we don't really claim him like that, no. But so I was sports all the time. That's all we really had. Generally, if we weren't on somebody's farm or if we weren't actively in sports ourselves, we had college football. And so I was around that a lot. So growing up in Hattiesburg, Petal, Mississippi, I graduated in Ellisville, Mississippi at South Jones High School. When I left for college, before I left for college, I actually interned twice at the White House. I worked in Department of Education as well as for a senator as an aide. And so during those times, I thought I was going to go out and be a politician, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna run for governor of Mississippi, and I'm gonna be the first Black woman that does it, blah blah blah. Yeah, I thought all that stuff behind the scenes, and I was like, no, this is not for me. So I decided that becoming a journalist, even though I went to Fort Valley State University as an agriculture economics major, on the back end, I was volunteering with the communications department a lot. So I kept communications around me. And as a kid, I used to copy edit my grandmother's column for the Hattiesburg American newspaper. So I was always around, you know, newspapers, magazines, television, you know, volunteering and interning here and there for different people as I grew. And, you know, really, I think the turning point for me might have been right after Hurricane Katrina. And I'm only speaking on that just because Hurricane Ida has hit Louisiana and has affected certain parts of South Mississippi. And it's very triggering to me still 16 years later, because at that time of Hurricane Katrina 16 years ago, I had my son, my oldest son, Sean, who was about 2.5 months old at the time. And when Hurricane Katrina hit, most people always leave out Mississippi. They always leave out the city and the states and the areas that get the tornadoes and or the extra flooding that comes from all of the rain and the wind that destroys homes and kills people, because people don't realize the wind will kill you. Okay.
Yes, it will.
So we ended up homeless. We ended up homeless for about 8 months. So I just had a newborn at that time. And at that time in the fall, going into the fall, I was supposed to take this internship that I had won with Jermaine Dupri and So Def as an A&R intern. Because if you follow me on social media, you know I'm always talking about music, and people are like surprised at my ear for especially old school music and sampling, and and modern day music. Well, so at that time, I kind of had to make a decision where it was like, okay, let me just get through this moment. Let me just get through this and I'll be fine. And that's kind of really how I've had to deal with all the situations that I've been in since growing up in Petal, Mississippi and Ellisville, Mississippi, and just really just deciding that being in Mississippi wasn't enough. I had to get out. My family pushed me out. They were like, you're the one that's going to change, the path and all of what's happening around us or what have you. And that's literally kind of how it's been set up. Me making the decision to leave and to come back when needed. And to visit and be active back home, because I'm on the board of directors of a nonprofit organization called Country Kids that's based in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And every time that I'm available, I make myself available to young people who really see me. They see themselves in me. So in general, for me, it's just one of those things, and just staying encouraged. I've been through a lot, and I just, shared just one or two things, but in dealing with both of those situations, it's one of those things where my grandmother used to tell me, keep living.
Right.
And something like that just sticks in my head anytime I'm going through something, because it's like, keep living, because something else is coming. Something else is going to be better than this situation that you're in now. I mean, I know that I'm in a place now where I didn't even know that I was going to be in this spot, but I know I had prayed for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That I prayed to get through the past 3 years of dealing with, troubled pregnancy, a divorce, seizures, epilepsy, all kinds of things that I've had to deal with over the past 3 years. At one point in time, I couldn't walk. I had to go to physical therapy to figure out how to walk again. Like it's insane. But again, if it was just hearing, keep living, just keep going, and just pushing through. So I think that's kind of what keeps me going. I think it's my own resilience, not just the resilience that people expect from me or expect me to endure and go through. It's just more so like, this is what life keeps handing me, and I'm always prepared to try to get through it. And if I'm not, then I'm still going through it. So I know that there's a testimony eventually. So I've been able to stay motivated through myself, because I just feel like there's more. There's something else. There's more, and there's okay with wanting more. And it's not in a sense of materialistic things. It's just more in life, more experiences, more people to meet and greet. Like, wouldn't be here if it had not been for us running into each other this weekend. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm so grateful. And look at this. So you helped start that program. Your first game back was in that school, in that stadium. And Don, I mean, just seeing that picture of you, Keisha Kelly, Miss Jennings, I forget the other young lady's name. I said that right there, that's the face of where we're going. Folks want to minimize Black women, but that's the future right there. That's the right now. That's the right now. Mm-hmm. And I saw a lot of power in that picture, man. I really did. Mm-hmm. And it was good to meet you. Do me a favor. I got to hit the top of the hour. But when we come back, I got another real important question from you, and then I'll let you go because I know you got things to do. So, y'all, Don Montgomery is blessing us. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to hold my mule. I'm telling you, you know me. I'll run and shout and holler in a heartbeat. So let me hit the top of the hour. If you got, a couple of questions, get them in quick so I can get them to Don. I got a lot of comments like, man, this is what I needed today. Bruh, where'd you find her? Don Montgomery, you are my new hero. AJ, make sure she gives her social media information. AJ, is she coming back? AJ, hush and let her talk. I haven't even said nothing. Anyway, let me hit the top of the hour. We'll be back. Hating on me. I ain't said a word.
The legendary
1140 AM, KYOK Conroe, and 92.3 FM, K222CX Houston.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, y'all. That's hour number one. We're in hour number two, and I tell you, I really didn't know if I was going to do the second hour. I was going to do, about 20 minutes with Don, and then get on off and go on home. Don, what you don't know, what the listeners don't know, is one of my daughters, right before I came in, tested positive for COVID.
Oh, wow.
And she's too young to be vaccinated. She wears her mask. I'm divorced as well. She wears her mask. And all that, and all she could say to me is like, Dad, I don't want COVID.
Yeah.
And I was like, baby girl, I don't want you to have COVID.
Right.
And she was like, all I want to do today is talk to you. And I'm like, baby, but Daddy's got to go to work. So can I call you as soon as I get, off? I said, baby, we'll look at each other and we'll just stay on the phone all day.
Yeah.
But something told me to come in today because I thought you had a word for my listeners. But you had a word for me. You had a word of encouragement for me, man. And I'm serious when I tell you. It's one thing to try to minister to other people. It's another thing when that thing bounced back on you and it ministers to the part in you that needed it. So we've seen a lot go on with mental health, like with Simone Biles, with Naomi Osaka, with others that people just don't get, man. They just don't get that there are times when people are not what they do. Sometimes we're not tennis players. Sometimes we're not basketball players. Sometimes we're not gymnasts. Sometimes we're not broadcast journalists. Sometimes we're real people with real issues trying to make it through our day. And I know just from what I heard from you that you had some legit struggle. Couldn't walk at one time, homeless, trying to raise your baby. You've gone through a divorce. How does Dawn handle her mentals, as Marshawn Lynch would say? Take care of your mentals. Take care of you. Yep. So how does Dawn do that? And what would Dawn say to somebody who's just trying to get through the day?
First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to God. I have to, because me being raised in the church, I'm AME. My grandmother was a pastor. My uncle was a pastor. My mom is a pastor as of the past 4 or 5 years. And just knowing that I'm always in a constant state of prayer and gratefulness. So I start there. Beyond that, I know God put people capable of assisting me in any kind of way, mentally, physically, spiritually, in what I need. So I'm a true advocate of therapy. I talked about this in my entire existence on social media. It's insane that one of the first platforms that really kind of allowed me to kind of open up about me being bipolar and dealing with that disorder on an everyday basis was Facebook. And I was able to create a group, and I helped so many Black people who were raised where, go to church, you pray about it, let it go. Right. And I what kind of opened them up to the conversation of mental health was more so knowing that I came from a church background, and my grandmother said that wasn't enough. And she was one of those people who advocated for me when I wasn't able to advocate for myself most times, as well as my mother. So for me to be, come from that line of women, who really believe you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to figure out what your own self-care routine looks like. You've got to take a break. You've got to know that you can't be all things to everybody if you're not who you need to be for yourself. Yeah. That's what's really helped me stay in tune with my mental. I know I was dealing with some things before I even came in today, not as much as what you probably had to deal with. And I'm sorry to hear that about your daughter. But the very first thing I said, I was supposed to be in here at a certain time. And I was like, nope, I'm going to take a yoga class because I need a minute, and so I went and took a 45-minute yoga class, and then I came out. I drove the whole way here with no music. I said this earlier. I love music. I can probably pinpoint to a song that I know or different genres of music that would change my mood, because there is a thing called music therapy. And I would be into that. I had no music driving up here, came in the door, spoke to everybody, still brought my yoga mat just in case I needed to stretch out and meditate later on in between meetings today. So it's one of those things where I've been forced to pay attention to my body, especially with what I've had to endure the past 3 years, where I can't ignore if my body feels a certain way or if mentally I just can't do it. That just it's not gonna happen, and it's okay. And one of the things that does is I believe it encourages everybody else around me to be mindful of what works for them. And what and how they can take care of themselves mentally, spiritually and physically. So for me, just really being in tune with what I need when I need it, I will do it. If I need some time where I'm asking my kid's father to get them in the middle of the week, I will literally tell him, hey, either you gonna get them or somebody else from in the family's gonna get them. And that's because I think he's gonna jump up and get his kids. so it's like, it's just one of those things where I just make it known what I need, and I'm in tune with myself. I journal a lot outside of the writing that I do.
Okay.
I pay attention to where I'm at in different stages of my life through journaling. I feel like if you write things out, you can see it, and it really makes it plain. So for me, that's kind of when I'm like, I'll send a journal entry to family and be like, hey, I need someone to come from, like, my mom is here, for instance, from leaving Mississippi because of the hurricane and everything. And it was triggered really, really bad because she endured the homelessness that we had to go through. It was her home that got flooded out. And
Wow.
She's newly married, and my dad, he was like, you know what, she's spazzing out. He was like, I think we're just gonna come to Atlanta. And I was like, okay, come on. Well, when they got here, one of the first things my mom said was, she said, you actually needed us to come. She was like, I'm watching you work. I'm watching you try to maintain and deal with the children, and we'll take care of them, and you just go and do what you need to do. And that lifted so much off of me. And for me to really recognize that, wow, I'm gonna need a little extra more help, and that's okay. And not to feel shame, because as parents, when we gotta put certain things before our children, it hits us. And I know there are very few moms who will say they don't experience mom guilt or any shame about doing what they need to do for them. But there's a majority of us, it hits us hard. And it hits us hard because we love our children. We want our children to be okay. We may not trust our children because of our own childhood traumas that we've had to deal with other people. But at the end of the day, like I was telling the single mom on the question that she had earlier, if she's not good, she can't do what she wants to really do for her. Like, it was okay for my kids to see me cry about this situation where I didn't know what I was going to do, but I took a breath and I was okay. And by the end of that day, they had to go to work with me that morning. But by the end of the day, by the time I got to that game, I had figured out that one of my cousins was still here in the city, and she was able to get them, you know what I'm saying, for the evening, so that I could go cover the game and do what I need to do for the evening. So it ended up working out in my favor, and it didn't look like it was going to be. So in general, for me, it's that keep living, keep going. That keeps my mental in check always.
Well, let me tell you, Don, you have blessed us in so many ways today. I can't even see straight. I do want to answer one of your Twitter questions. Mm-hmm. No, ain't nobody talking to their mama and daddy about dating at this stage of our lives. Don, what are you telling your mama about your dating life right now?
So the thing about it is I think what I love about how I am and I'm able to show up in my family is my family knows there is no filter. I should have one, but I don't. And it's literally one of those things where I think I talked to my mom, and I figured this out last night when we were talking. I think I talked to my mom about how hard it is to date, because when her and my father got divorced, and we moved to Jackson, Mississippi from Mansfield, Ohio at the time, I didn't see her date. All I did was see her work. I didn't see her meeting people. I didn't know what that looks like. So for a lot of us, the conversation really around divorce isn't just, oh my gosh, you got married to get divorced, or you believe in divorce. No, none of us that get married believe in divorce until our mental is in a space of, no, I can't do this no more because I've got to go, you know? And so in the light of that, of having this recent conversation with my mom and my dad, both of them have gone through 2 divorces. This is their 3rd marriage, and it took them 40 years to find each other. They were college sweethearts and then got back to, like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's the cutest love story, but I'm not trying to wait 40 years for somebody to come back and find me. Okay. So me having this conversation with them is more so like, okay, I know I want to get married again, but I also know I don't want a 2nd and a 3rd marriage, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want it to be one of those things where I'm going to have to figure this out again. So I'm having this conversation with people that I really trust would really tell me, okay, that's a red flag immediately. Because at one point in time, I wouldn't listen to my mom.
Gotcha.
At one point in time, I wouldn't, you know, she'll suggest something or she'll say something, you know, I got to go out there and go bump my head on something before it really hits me. So in general, I think that's why I kind of put that question out there, because a lot of us, especially that have parents that have been divorced and remarried or what have you, do you really talk to them about how they pick up the pieces after they've left the situation? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I found a lot of wisdom in some of the things that they were telling me, and it got a little interesting because we were drinking a little Uncle Nearest, but you know what I'm saying. But you know how the truth come out, you know, when
Yeah.
the up get it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in general, yeah, I think that's why we have that connection. And you know, our recent trip to Canton, Ohio, where we drove like 19, 20 hours, you know, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame to experience that together. That kind of brought us closer, just like how when we went to Cooperstown, New York, to see Ken Griffey Jr. get enshrined at the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. So it's one of those things where I have that relationship, and I kind of want to encourage, you know, especially Black women, mothers and daughters. I kind of want to encourage and kind of show them, like, even if you grew up with the kind of rocky or unstable relationship with your parent, there's ways that you can grow into a loving relationship and a blossoming relationship as you get older.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I wanted to go through this today because a lot of folks just see what they see on camera. A lot of folks just see what they read in print or on social media, and there's so much more to us than just that.
Yes.
And like I said, with the Maria Taylor thing, congratulations to her being
Yes.
announced with Sean Payton as the 2 newest members of the NBC football lineup. And I mean, you have blessed so many people in so many ways today, Don. I gotta have you back. Are you going up to the Hall of Fame Classic this weekend?
No, I am not. I decided to turn it down. I think someone else is possibly going from the Atlanta Voice. I'm not really sure, but we'll be watching for sure, because
Okay.
being up there for Pro Football Hall of Fame was everything.
Yeah.
I was scheduled to be going to LA this Friday for LSU versus UCLA at the Rose Bowl Stadium, but you know, LA has all the variants as
Everything.
all
All of them.
and as someone says, unless you get ready to pledge to that Greek variant over there, don't go. So I decided not to go. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah. I know your alma mater is in the Red Tails Classic against Tuskegee. Am I right? Is that this weekend or is that coming up?
Coming up. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of off on those dates. I got to get back in the know.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And Atlanta is certainly. Say it again.
Weekend and next weekend. I was saying it's a lot of classes coming up this weekend and next weekend, so for sure.
Yeah, I'll be at the Labor Day Classic here in Houston, TSU, and Prairie View. We got the State Fair Classic, Prairie View and Grambling coming up. A lot of stuff going on down here, and then I'll be at the Bayou Classic. Up in November. So, any thoughts on Cam Newton? Where's he going to end up? Should he end up anywhere? What are your thoughts on what happened in New England?
I knew it was going to happen. I think it was one of those things where it might have been a decision that they wanted to make, and it just proves that the organization as a whole isn't as diverse as it would like to be.
Right.
And that speaks to the NFL in general. I feel like if Cam wants to continue to play football, he should. But at this point, I think Cam is technically done, in my opinion. And I say that just because there's so much more work that he can do off the field than on the field at this time, but I also know he's a true athlete and he's going to want to compete. So if I'm down with wherever he ends up going, I've always supported him from a distance, especially after how, that college football scandal with Mississippi State and Auburn and things like that. But in general, for him as a man, I've begun to respect how he has carried himself in this industry, and how he was really a huge part of changing the look of the black quarterback in the NFL. So I would want to encourage him to really weigh his options, and monetarily he may need to go back for 1 or 2 years just to kind of stack his money and stack that cheese, do what you got to do,
right?
Check your chickens and all that. But after that, I really want him to have a plan to really be in these communities that he benefits with his tournaments and things like that. These kids need a Cam Newton to really kind of connect with and rub elbows with. And I think he would do so much more impact off of the field if he took the time to kind of focus in on that.
Dawn Montgomery, y'all. That's why I rocks with her right there, right there. And I love your kids, man. Tell baby boy to quit breaking baby girls' ankles.
Listen, they practice that, and at this point, I think it's a stage act because she can play defense. I've seen her do it. So if they put on a show for me when I see them, I'm like, y'all practice that. You.
She did have a little flopping going on.
Flopping. It gets me every single time. So yeah, I'll let him know.
Please tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all the amazing work that you do.
So @_Dawn Montgomery. I'm only on Twitter and Instagram now. Facebook was becoming a bit too much for me. And for now, I'm still deciding on whether or not I'm going to be on both of those platforms. But right now, Twitter's the best bet where you can really find me. Instagram, you get a little bit more personal, everyday things because I love stories, and we no longer have fleets on Twitter, so great for that. But yeah, just in general, those two spaces. And I'm the chief brand officer with the Atlanta Voice newspaper here in Atlanta, the oldest publication, Black-owned publication, and still in print here. So you can follow some of my work there. We're always working in our communities, always trying to do what we see fit, and educating our communities on what's happening in the news, sports, politics, and business.
Well, let me tell you, I've got her Linktree link posted up. So if you're following us on social media, you can definitely follow her there. I will definitely follow up with her information after the show. But Dawn, thank you. And again, please, when you got time, we'd love to have you back.
No, not a problem. I'll be available.
All right, my friend. Take care, Dawn. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Dawn Montgomery, man, what an amazing interview. Let me take a quick break. We'll be back, wrap it up right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
Hello, this is Claude Cummings Jr., Vice President of Communication Workers of America District 6. Trey and I are inviting you to listen in to our new political talk show, Power to the People Political Hour.
Hello, this is Trey Daniels from the Daniels Group. Yes, Claude, the show will be hard-hitting and informative, talking about national and local political issues of the day, week, and month. Interviews will be with pastors, community leaders, elected officials, and political operatives. Claude, a part of our responsibility is informing the citizenry and give them power to the people.
That's right, Trey. We're asking that you listen in on 1140 AM, 92.3, or streaming on KYOKradio.org, Thursdays at 10 a.m.
Give the people what they want.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM. The legend continues.
All right, y'all, we're back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Streaming live on KYOKradio.org. How cool was that? How cool was that? Dawn Montgomery. Oh, my God. Man, all I'm going to say is this is how we do it. This is how we do it on the lunch break. CJ, she is so powerful and impactful. Yes, she is. And she knows her way around some sports. So, again, real glad to have her on the show. Real glad that she broke down what she broke down, man. I mean, And again, y'all, we got a lot going on. Let me drop down real quick and see what the latest breaking news is, because that Cam Newton news was just unbelievable. The cutdowns have been something. Let's see. Of course, they've got one of these best locations for Cam Newton following his release from the New England Patriots. By the way, I'm done with the Patriots as a fan. I tried to respect him a couple of years ago in Tom Brady's last year. I defended him. I cut for him. That defense was rocking in, and then they ended up falling off. And then when Cam took over the year after that, oh, yeah, now they're going to be, they got it going on then. But you cut Cam Newton for Mac Jones, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. You cut Cam Newton for Mac Jones, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. Let me see who's going to be the first to tee off on Mac Jones. They're going to be the first to tee off on Mac Jones when he starts his career. Hold on, I gotta get my app open. Got to get my app open. Let's see. Oh, it ain't gonna let me. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. New England. Bang. Schedule. Bang. Regular season. Miami Dolphins get them first. Oh, he gonna be all right for a little while. He gonna be all right. He got the Dolphins. He's got the Jets, and then he's got the Saints. Right after that, he's got Tampa Bay. He'll be all right against the Texans. If the Cowboys don't get their defensive life together, he's going to be all right in that game. Then he's got the Jets again. Then the Chargers going to thump him. Then he'll be all right with Carolina. Cleveland's going to thump him. He'll be all right against Atlanta. Tennessee's going to thump him. Buffalo's going to thump him. He got a bye. Then he's got the Colts, the Bills again, Jacksonville, he'll be all right, Miami to close it out. So I think what happened was they looked at that schedule and they thought, oh, he's going to be all right. Well, let's go ahead and rock with this. Be careful what you ask for, because you got grown-up defensive coordinators that are not impressed with what Mac Jones did at Alabama. You got grown-up defensive coordinators that are not impressed with what Mac Jones did in the preseason. Josh McDaniels is going to have to do the coaching and play calling of his life, because you've got a rookie in there that he better have it figured out, because if not, be careful what you ask for. You just going to get it. All right, Keith Hawkins, Todd Malcolm, I know y'all want to get in and talk your team. Y'all be sure and get into me when you can. Let me tell you, a lot of teams right now are trying to figure it out and pull it together. A lot of them have cut down. Some major players. Today is cut down day by, I think, 4 o'clock Central Time. And we've already seen some pretty interesting names on the cutting block. So my sincere thoughts and prayers go out to these young men and older men who may have had their dreams delayed, but not necessarily denied. And for all those folks out there that want to talk smack about, oh, he wasn't good enough, or oh, this or all that, please, you don't understand, leave it alone. And oh, yeah, by the way, which NFL team are you on? That's all I need to know. Take a break and come back. We'll talk more about certain teams on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I will look at that list on where they think Cam is going to go when we come back on the lunch break.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book,
I simply must add you to the list. Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-219-8332. 800-219-8332. 800-219-8332. That's 800-219-8332.
Remember in the beginning, when you first started to build a life for you and your family, you never imagined it would come to this. Instead of living your dreams, you're living with debt. In fact, it's smothering you. Now there's a way you can take back control with one simple call. If you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you qualify to receive a free, no-obligation consultation on how to get rid of that debt for good. Call the Debt Helpline now. We work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. One simple call is all it takes to get the ball rolling to a debt-free life. Stop living with debt and start living your dreams. Call the Debt Helpline now.
800-958-2156. 800-958-2156. 800-958-2156. That's 800-958-2156.
Tune in to Table Talk with your boy, TD Blackshear, every Tuesday from 10 to 11 a.m. on the legendary KYOK 1140 a.m. and 92.3 FM. See you there.
In need of tires? Check out OMG Tire Services and more. New and used tires, all the name brands you desire. Located at 3126 Tidwell, between 59 North and Jensen. Give them a call at 832-767-3211. Top-notch service from beginning to end. When you're done, get your car hand-washed inside and out at OMG Tire Services and more. Located at 3126 Tidwell, between 59 North and Jensen. Call 832-767-3211. That's 832-767-3211. Conveniently located on the north side.
The legendary KYOK 1140 AM. The legendary KYOK 92.3 FM. Radio stations in one.
Hi, I'm Larry Scott, host of the Not So Christian and Me Show. Join me Saturdays for great fun, interviews, music, and the latest news surrounding our world today. We are the show that cares to hear your voice and opinion with real conversation in a no judgment zone. So join me Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Not So Christian and Me Show, right here on the legendary KYOK Radio, 1140 AM, and the all-new 92.3 FM at KYOKradio.org.
This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all. We back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK, all new 92.3 FM, streaming live on KYOKradio.org. Also on Facebook at Lunch Break KYOK, on Twitter at Lunch Break KYOK, and on YouTube, The Lunch Break with AJ Jones. And we have been international for a while, but we just went international again. A young man, I don't want to say your name wrong. Is it Ya? Is it Ya? Said good night from Cambodia. Y'all don't understand this. This is why I do it. I do it because of the Don Montgomerys. I do it because of the Jasmines that text in, the Keith Hennecks, the CJs, the Monica Morris Howards. Y'all, we might not have millions of followers. We might not have a check mark by our name, but we got Ya in Cambodia saying good night. Thank you for the show. I'm going to leave that up for the rest of the show. I'm leaving Ya from Cambodia up for the rest of the show. Good night, sir. Thank you for tuning in. Man, I'm grateful. I do. Little things mean a lot, especially on a day like today. All right, let me see what they're talking about. Cam Newton is most likely going to end up. Let me see what they're talking about. Let's see. Cam Newton. Cam Newton. They say the Houston Texans. Again, I've got no say in the matter. I don't want Cam to end up in this mess, just like I didn't want Tyrod Taylor, and I don't want Deshaun Watson to end up in this mess any longer. That's just me. I know y'all are like, oh, AJ, get over it. But listen to what they say. If Newton's top priority is to be a starter, he said earlier this year, there aren't 32 guys better than me. Somewhere in the league, his best bet may be the Houston Texans. With Deshaun's status in flux, the path to QB1 is obtainable. Currently, the Texans have Tyrod Taylor and rookie Davis Mills on the roster, which are two quarterbacks that Newton should be able to successfully beat out for the job. Of course, the Texans aren't expected to be competitive football-wise this season, so Newton's chances of playing for a serious contender would be wildly diminished if he signed on with the Texans. The other one is, who I talked about earlier, the Washington football team. Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke have not locked down that job. Now, can Cam Newton come in today, learn the system tomorrow? No. And I hope he doesn't try to do that. He might tell me I could do that, but I hope he doesn't try. I'm with Willie. I'm with Don Montgomery. Cam, take a minute. Probably not going to be on a roster by the 12th. But if he is, man, more power to him. I'm not a dude that wants to retire a guy. I'm not a dude that wants to retire a player. If they still feel like they can go, let them go. Man, listen, I ain't got time for soft feelings today. My mind is, my body's here with y'all, but my mind is on the other side of town with my baby girl. Listen to me. If folks can complain about wearing a doggone mask to stop a global pandemic, who are we to say that Cam Newton should retire? Who are we to say that a player should have to retire because another team does not want them? If he still feels like he can go, then doggone it, there might be a system or a team that is a better fit for him, and he might excel like crazy. He might be done. I don't know. But if he wants to still play, give him a chance to play. I just hope it's not here in Houston. So the Washington football team is a place. The Dallas Cowboys are on this list, I should say. Dak Prescott is the man in Dallas, so Newton would need to be all right with simply serving as a backup. But again, Cooper Rush as a backup quarterback, Cam Newton would be an instant upgrade to that quarterback room. And again, Ben DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert are both gone. DiNucci is probably going to be brought back to the practice squad. So that's all they got. They got Dallas, Washington, and Houston. I'm going to throw out a couple of other ones for you. The New York Jets. I don't want Josh Johnson to lose his job in New York. I don't want that. And right now he's the veteran backup. But who do you want backing up your rookie young quarterback, Josh Johnson or Cam Newton? If we find out that Zach Wilson can't do it, who do you want trotting out there to save your season? Josh Johnson or Cam Newton? That's one spot. Another spot kind of came to mind when I was talking with Don Montgomery. Who in the world is in the quarterback room in Atlanta? Who's in the quarterback room in Atlanta? And in Atlanta, you don't have the same conservatism. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Don't all of my Republican anarchists and antagonists start calling me. I don't know why y'all don't understand. I'm an independent. I'm black. Just because I'm black don't mean I'm a liberal. But there's a different level of conservatism in the Massachusetts, New England area than there is down there in Atlanta. So Cam can wear his hair wild. He can listen to rap music, Scott Zolak, nutbag. He can do all of that down there. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he can play some quarterback if something happens to Matt Ryan. Let me go and see who's the quarterback in Atlanta. It's probably somebody that who's the backup quarterback in Atlanta. I'm looking. What, y'all don't know? Y'all should be like hitting me up right now. Oh, the backup quarterback in Atlanta is none other than probably Matt Schaub or somebody. All right, Felipe Franks, please. Josh Rosen, please. So their quarterback room is Matt Ryan, Felipe Franks, and Josh Rosen. Yeah, Matt Schaub retired earlier in this offseason. I remember it now. So, yeah, Atlanta might not think that they need him, but they do. They do. Put Felipe Franks as your third-team quarterback. Tell Josh Rosen, you know the drill. You know the drill. If Frank Reich in Indianapolis is not on the phone with Cam Newton's agent right now, he's not serious about winning. And I gave him that credit yesterday. I gave Frank Reich the credit of being a gambler, trying, breaking the mold, what have you. You're going to go with Jacob Eason and Carson Wentz and Sam Ehlinger, who might be done for the year. So there's two more teams right now. And then the third, additional teams. The third surprise team, Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks adding Cam Newton to that quarterback room, which currently consists of course, we know Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, and Sean Mannion. You remember Geno Smith, formerly of the Jets? That Geno Smith. And Sean Mannion. And, oh, yeah, that's a Super Bowl contender. If something happens to Russell Wilson, do you want Geno Smith, Sean Mannion, or Cam Newton trotting out there to try and save your season? If I'm Kyle Shanahan, stop all that nonsense with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. I'm adding Cam Newton to that quarterback room. You brought in Trey Lance to push Jimmy Garoppolo. How much pushing will go on if he's got to look back at Trey Lance and Cam Newton? Now, Cam might not want any of those kind of situations, but there's some options for him. Seattle is a viable option. Atlanta is a viable option. Oakland is a viable option. I'll say until the day's end, Pittsburgh is a viable option. Ron Rivera and him, they might have too much water under the proverbial bridge, but, there's some options out there for Cam Newton if he still wants to play. If Robert Salah is serious about, and the Jets are serious about turning that organization around, you don't go into the season with two no-name dudes and Josh Johnson. But let me tell you something. Organizations have been dumb for a long time. Organizations have made dumb decisions for a long time. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this?
Hey, man, what's happening?
Man, brother, sitting here talking about this Cam Newton situation, and CBS Sports seem to think that the best fits for him are Houston, Dallas, and who else did they say? Some crazy town. Washington, I think they said.
Yeah, I saw that. But before I get into that, let me just jump in. Can I just piggyback off something with Don Montgomery said, man? So the minute you gave out her socials, I followed her. But she spoke so much just truth and just realness and authenticity, man, that like I had to take a minute just to gather myself, man, because that sister she really said a mouthful today, and I'm praying for her, the young lady, and anybody who heard that, man. I mean, it was super, super inspiring. And prayers up to your daughter, man, and you for being there. We thank you for being here, man. I know your mind is somewhere else. So obviously, we're praying for your family and pray that your daughter recovers quickly because this COVID stuff is not a joke.
Man, I appreciate that. Thank you, Keith. And just being real transparent, man. She's 8, and it's real hard because she can't get vaccinated, and we do the right thing with ours, man. Even as co-parents in different homes, I went out and made sure that she had masks and what have you, and explained to her, baby girl, you even if your friends don't wear masks, you wear yours because you're looking out for them. And she's that kind of person, man. She cares about so many other people, man. She's our little emotional, compassionate baby. And man, for her to say, "Daddy, I don't want COVID," brother, when I tell you, I'm man.
Man, when you said that, I was like, "Ooh, Jesus, take the wheel." That's a tough one, man. That is a tough one. So big prayers up to you and for your daughter.
Thank you, brother.
In regards to Cam Newton, man, I think it would be a good look in Houston. I'll say this: big ups to him for deciding. Look, I've been in this league long enough to know my worth, and if I can't be the starter, I'm not going to be the backup to your heir apparent. So the answer is no, right? So, and they owe him his money, so. I like his decision, and I hope that he lands a spot. I know he will. Any NFL team that's worth their salt would have to look at him and go, okay, this is a guy that we would love to have on our roster. And the only place that I think that he can compete, well, not the only place, but certainly the wide open place is right here at Houston with the Texans. And so that'll be interesting to see, but basically they already have 3 quarterbacks and one that's on the roster, but they can't claim him. So, and Deshaun. So it'll be interesting to see how they run that.
Well, so here's the interesting thing about Deshaun. Deshaun is going to be on the 53-man roster, but he more than likely will be the inactive for multiple weeks until they figure out what they're going to do with him. And then again, heaven forbid something happened to another quarterback. And I always say it that way, because folks throw out the injury thing just like it's, like, oh, yeah, I'm banking on the injury, so we're going to bring in Cam Newton or somebody else. No, man, heaven forbid somebody get injured, then you might have teams come to the table wanting to make the kind of deal that the Texans have to get back. They cannot afford another DeAndre Hopkins deal, especially when it comes to a franchise quarterback like Deshaun. Off-field stuff aside, Deshaun Watson is a franchise quarterback, and they cannot let him go for nothing.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And they have to get the market value for him, which is a boatload of picks. What teams are willing to give that up? And it seems like there's quite a few from everything I'm hearing. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. This week I was talking to Todd about this weekend. So the Longhorns made their pick and who's going to be the starting quarterback for this Saturday's game, and it's going to be the young redshirt freshman. And initially, I was a little upset by it, and then Todd and I kind of talked through it, because he's going to allow both players to play. It's going to be Hudson Card, and then Casey Thompson is going to get some playing time. And that concerns me because I said to Todd, I guess neither guy has proven their worth, and at some point, somebody's going to have to step up and take over that position because when you got 2 quarterbacks, you ain't got one.
Right.
The old saying goes. So it'll be interesting to see this weekend, especially going up against Louisiana Lafayette and that defense to see, who can do what. And lastly, man, I wanted to bring up something that you and Ohio State.
Oh, Willie Gibson.
Willie, yeah. You guys were talking about something last week. I think it was Thursday or maybe even Friday in regards to would the Big Ten take on particular schools, especially coming out of the Big 12. And his response was there were 2 things that you guys talked about, and I really wanted to hammer in on it. Was there was not an AAU school, or there weren't a lot of AAU schools in Kansas. than the fact that would some of these conferences consider an HBCU to join their league. And I want to talk about the AAU factor, because if you haven't had a chance to listen to Malcolm Gladwell, who's probably one of my favorite authors, he has a podcast that talks about school rankings in universities and the diversity in which, or the reason why they create these school rankings. And it's so important for your listening audience to really go and listen to how this system of school rankings was created, and we'll have a better understanding of why it's all lies. And while I understand what Brother Willie is talking about, but you've got to listen to this. And matter of fact, it started, he did the study from your university. I mean, did you go to Tulane or Dillard?
I went to Tulane.
Okay. So he did this study to show Ivy League schools in comparison to a Harvard-like, majority black school, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And his findings were the rankings for all of these schools were based off how much money each school or each university was having in the bank. So, for example, if you're in an HBCU, you're already 75 yards behind the leading university simply because they had their schools before, and more importantly, they have wealthy donors that give back to their schools, right? It is never about performance. I mean, it is the most, it opened my eyes so much, man. I went back and I read it and I saw it for myself. I was like, they never ask these school presidents who vote on these systems, how did you come up with these rankings? Did you visit the school?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is, of course, no, because they don't have the time. But they go literally off of how much money a school can raise. And here's the most shocking thing, or the most revealing thing. How many times does, and let's say a black student that's going to a University of Texas that don't come from a family of wealth, whereas his white counterpart has some substantial wealth where he doesn't have to work, but let's say the black parent gets sick and that student has to come home and take care of the parent. All of these considerations as to how long it takes you to graduate and the way that they rank these schools never takes into consideration real life issues, because they don't care about minority issues. They only care about the graduate number and how much money you got in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I tell you, it is like the most mind-blowing study. And I was just like, wow. Like all these years, you're looking at these universities going, oh yeah, they're ranked number so-and-so, they're ranked number so-and-so. But it really is about how much money they have and nothing else. Absolutely nothing else goes beyond, goes into that ranking system.
Yeah, and Keith, I know that to be true because, while Tulane is what it is, Xavier University, man, more black doctors, black lawyers, you name it, come out of that university than people even imagine. And, the alumni know the story. The students that go there know the story. And there are folks around the area that know the story. But I thank God for my frat brother, Randall McHenry. We called him Squeeze when he was online. As the president of the Alumni Association, he's getting that word out around the world. He's letting the world know who and what Xavier University is. Now, that might not play in anybody's rankings because, like you said, those rankings are based on other things. But, hey, man, it's up to us to tell those stories. It's not up to us to allow some quote-unquote independent, unbiased independent group to say how good Xavier is or Dillard is or Clark Atlanta or Morehouse. And we know the Morehouse men are some of the baddest black men on the planet. And no shade to TSU and Prairie View and Alcorn and NCAAT. No shade to any of them, but each one of those schools has a fiduciary and historic responsibility to make sure that their story gets told right, and don't leave it up to anybody else.
That's right, 100% right. And the last thing I'll say is, he asked the question. I think you asked him, would an HBCU consider, or would a Power 5 or a Big 12 consider instituting or having an HBCU? And the answer for me, and I think he said also the answer is no, but I know for a fact, well, no, he talked about the NIL. I'll tell you this, that wouldn't happen because now the playing field is level, which means that these black athletes would then immediately go to HBCUs because they will get the same amount of money as the University of Texas and Oklahoma and Alabama. And so now the playing field becomes level. And we all know they never, because look how long it took them to get name, image, and likeness instituted, right? So we know they never wanted for us to have a level playing field. They just wanted us to play on the field.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now, if you say, yeah, come join our conference and we share the profits with you, oh, no, they wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, Keith. But I'm seeing what's happening with ESPN now getting more involved in HBCUs and other outlets getting more. If an HBCU conference went to Apple or Roku or Hulu and put their network on, their games on those networks exclusively, believe me when I tell you, HBCU alum and allies and fans of, baby, they will point and click. They will download. They will stream. They will do what they got to do. My point in saying that is, we don't have to beg ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, CBS Sports. We don't have to beg them anymore. We don't have to beg them. There are other ways to get it done. Now, watch this. We'll give you an opportunity to spotlight and carry our games, but hear me when I say you're not the end all and you're not the be all. And when these commissioners of these respective conferences and when these ADs and presidents of these respective schools come at it with that approach, everything will change. Everything will change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's why I love Charles McClellan. That's what I love. Love about Commissioner McClellan in the SWAC. That's what I love about him, because he's getting these deals done. And let ESPN get a little too big. Let him get too needy and wanty. He'll find something else.
Yeah. So I love that fact too, because the HBCUs are now starting to, or at least have been starting to figure out new routes and new approaches to market their teams and to market their universities. And now I think with the NIL, it's only going to open up to a broader, more people who never paid attention before are on a very limited basis now get an opportunity. And I'm thankful that you got a chance last week, man, to go cover and be a part of that environment, man, and bring back to us your experience so that people who listen to the lunch break can then hear about what a wonderful experience it was. So that's great.
Well, brother, I appreciate you as always. And man, again, a phenomenal show this past weekend. Why don't you share a couple of highlights when you had the daughter of the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, on Coffee with Keith this past Saturday?
Man, I'll be real quick because I know you're up against it, but I'll just tell you, I was dumbfounded. Like, I literally, for the first time, I videoed it via some platform. I can't even remember right now. But Zoom. Long story short, you'll look at my face, and at times I would tear up, and at times my mouth would be wide open because she drops so much knowledge. She is obviously the daughter of Muhammad Ali. However, she is making her own pathway. That is, she being May Ali, in the sense of her dedication to social work, and more importantly, her dedication to public speaking, about communication, about leadership, about developing a relationship. Man, juvenile delinquency. I tell you, man, like I was so blown away. It was mind blowing, and I was blessed. I was really, really blessed. But yeah, May Ali was on, and we had a great time, man, on Coffee with Keith every Saturday. noon to 1 p.m. right here on the legendary KYOK. It's always fun.
Well, brother, again, I applaud you. I appreciate you. You know, I absolutely love you, man. Even though you got that Longhorn thing going on, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. And I'm gonna pick y'all to win this coming Saturday. It's this week, right?
Yeah, this Saturday.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick y'all to win, but not by a lot. Not by a lot.
I don't blame you, man. I don't think it's a win by a lot either. I'm thinking about 10 points at the most, 8 at the best.
All right, Keith, you take it easy, bro. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. You as well.
All right, now, Keith Hawkins, Coffee with Keith every Saturday from 12 to 1 right here on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. He had Nene Ali on the show, and like he said, it was absolutely amazing. So if you get a chance to check out his Zoom, go to his Instagram page, check out some of the highlights from that. You'll be amazed. All right, listen, we got to get ready to go. But you know, I can't get out of here without doing birthdays today. There are some big birthdays in the professional and the celebrity arena, but then there's some big birthdays in your arena. So let me get these birthdays lined up real quick. If you got one you need to get to me real quick, send it to me, post it up. Do it. A brother like no other, married to phenomenal women. I'm talking about Derek Berry, celebrating his birthday today. Again, happy birthday to you, Derek. LaShawn A.J. Hamb, 24 years young today. LaShawn, happy birthday to you. Stephanie Vigors is 49. Priscilla Chavois is 58 today. Janice Jones celebrating her birthday along with Dolores Burke Perez. Sandra Richards, along with Melanie Covington, Quintella Legg, Belvia Carter, B. Carter, happy birthday to you, sis. Kelvin McCulley over in Kenya. I had to make sure I had it right. Fonda Birch is celebrating her birthday, and Juan Beltran, Mr. Houston Sports Talk himself, is 36 today. Happy birthday to you, brother, like no other. And then let me go on the celebrity side real quick. Happy birthday to Mr. Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald, celebrating his birthday today. And the first African-American to be a Major League Baseball head coach, Frank Robinson, 14-time All-Star, MVP in 61 in the National League and in 66 in the American League, born in Beaumont, Texas. Frank Robinson celebrated his birthday today. Of course, he passed away in 2019. All right, let me get the birthday man on. Come on, sing to him, Usher.
Oh, go shawty, it's your birthday. Ooh, it's your birthday. Go shawty, it's your birthday. Today's your day. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Mr. Usher. All right, listen, I got to get ready to go. Sybil Wilkes up next with what you need to know today. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. Thank you so much, Don Montgomery, for coming on today. You blessed us in a way that we could not even imagine. We're going to follow you. We're going to keep up with you, and we definitely going to keep praying for you. We'll have to have her back. And again, thank God for you all listening all the way in Cambodia, all the way around the United States. We appreciate every bit of it. Do me a favor, wear your mask where you're supposed to, wash your hands like you're supposed to, and consider getting vaccinated if you are of age and eligible. If not, do all the other precautions that you can. And when you see that racism, kill it. Not the person or the people, but the racism and the bullying. It's got to stop, man, and it stops with you. Don't be quiet about it. Say something about it. Let folks know that ain't what it is, all right? As always, y'all, I love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow, Winning Wednesday. Y'all take care.
It's Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. America's longest war, 20 years in Afghanistan, has come to an end. Counted down its final hours Monday, with the last Americans being evacuated. The last U.S. troops and diplomats were scheduled to pull out of Kabul by Tuesday after what was called the biggest air evacuation in history. As the shutdown went on, the U.S. anti-missile defenses intercepted rockets fired at Kabul's airport early Monday. The rockets followed the massive Islamic State suicide suicide bombing outside of airport gates Thursday, killing 13 U.S. troops. High-ranking members of the Democratic Party have extended an unprecedented olive branch across the aisle in the wake of the potential passage of a federal voting rights bill. Democrats advocate for utility bills and student IDs to be considered acceptable forms of identification. Republicans only seek to allow a government-issued ID. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
Stop going through a divorce, whatever the reason.
All right, y'all. Again, thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank y'all for being patient with me, man. It's kind of a tough day, but I got faith, so we'll see how things play out. But, for every parent out there dealing with COVID with a child, listen, hear me when I tell you I'm with you, I'm for you. I had never imagined that this is what we've been experiencing, what have you. For those who lost loved ones due to COVID, let me tell you something, man. You're not a political number. You're not a political ploy. Your loved one was and is somebody. So just know that there's some of us that get it. Unfortunately, I'm getting it the hard way, but I get it. Okay. And if I can ever do anything to help you through your time like this, believe me when I say I'm right here. AJ at KYLKsports.com, AJ at KYLKsports.com, or 832-403-5005, 832-4003. I'm sorry, 832-403-5005. Listen, y'all take care. Not this, but this.